The Kapuas River, known as Sungai Kapuas in Indonesian, is the longest river in Indonesia and one of the longest in the world, stretching over 1,143 kilometers, 710 miles, across the island of Borneo. It flows entirely within the Indonesian province of West Kalimantan and serves as a vital artery for the people, wildlife, and ecosystems of this region. The Kapuas River is not only a lifeline for the local communities who depend on its waters for transportation, agriculture, and fishing, but it also sustains one of the most biologically diverse regions on the planet, harboring vast stretches of tropical rainforests, unique wildlife, and endemic species. This river is a symbol of natural beauty and cultural richness, providing a glimpse into the ancient and intricate relationship between humans and nature in Borneo. The source of the Kapuas River lies in the Muller mountain range, located in the central part of Borneo. From these remote, mountainous highlands, the river begins its long journey westward, cutting through dense forests, traversing swamps and lowlands, and winding through the heart of West Kalimantan. Eventually, the Kapuas River empties into the South China Sea, creating a vast delta that has historically been a center for trade, cultural exchange, and human settlement. The journey of the Kapuas River from its source to the sea reflects the dynamic interplay of geography, climate, and ecology that shapes the region. The river's significance extends far beyond its physical characteristics. The Kapuas River has played a central role in the cultural, social, and economic lives of the many ethnic groups that have lived along its banks for centuries. Indigenous Dayak communities, known for their deep spiritual connection to the land and water, have long inhabited the forests and river valleys of the Kapuas. Their traditional way of life, based on subsistence farming, fishing, and hunting, is intimately tied to the river's cycles and the surrounding forest ecosystems. The river also supports Malay, Chinese, and other communities who have settled along its banks, contributing to the rich cultural diversity of the region. One of the most remarkable features of the Kapuas River is its biodiversity. The river and its surrounding rainforests are home to an astonishing array of plant and animal species, many of which are found nowhere else in the world. The Kapuas is part of the Sundaland Biodiversity Hotspot, a region that includes the islands of Borneo, Sumatra, and Java, and is recognized for its high levels of endemism and species richness. The river itself teems with life, supporting a wide variety of fish species, including several that are of critical importance to local fisheries. Freshwater dolphins, crocodiles, and otters can be found in the river's waters, while the forests along its banks are home to iconic species like the orangutan, Bornean clouded leopard, and the critically endangered Bornean pygmy elephant. The rich flora of the region includes towering dipterocarp trees, which form the canopy of the rainforest, as well as numerous species of orchids, medicinal plants, and rare flowers. The Kapuas River's ecosystems are not only important for wildlife but also play a critical role in regulating the regional climate and maintaining water cycles. The extensive wetlands, peat swamps, and mangrove forests that are associated with the Kapuas River act as carbon sinks, absorbing large amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and helping to mitigate the effects of climate change. These ecosystems also help to regulate water flow, preventing floods during the rainy season and maintaining water levels during the dry season. However, despite its ecological importance, the Kapuas River and its surrounding habitats are under increasing pressure from human activities. Deforestation, driven by logging, agriculture, and palm oil plantations, has resulted in the loss of vast areas of rainforest, threatening the biodiversity and ecological functions of the region. The clearing of forests not only destroys wildlife habitats but also disrupts the natural water cycles of the Kapuas River, leading to increased flooding and soil erosion. One of the major threats facing the Kapuas River today is pollution. Industrial activities, particularly in the form of gold mining and palm oil processing, have introduced significant amounts of pollutants into the river's waters. Mercury, used in illegal gold mining operations, is one of the most harmful contaminants, poisoning the river's fish populations and posing a serious health risk to the communities that rely on the river for drinking water and food. Palm oil plantations, which have rapidly expanded in recent decades, contribute to water pollution through the runoff of pesticides, fertilizers, and other chemicals into the river. This pollution not only degrades water quality but also disrupts the delicate balance of the river's ecosystems, threatening the survival of fish and other aquatic species. In addition to pollution, the Kapuas River is also vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns are altering the hydrology of the river, leading to more extreme weather events such as floods and droughts. These changes have serious consequences for the people and wildlife that depend on the river. Floods can displace communities, destroy crops, and damage infrastructure, while prolonged droughts can reduce water availability, affecting agriculture and fisheries. The people who live along the Kapuas River are already experiencing the effects of these changes, and their traditional ways of life are being increasingly disrupted. Despite these challenges, there are efforts underway to protect the Kapuas River and its ecosystems. Conservation organizations, both local and international, are working to preserve the region's biodiversity and promote sustainable development practices. Protected areas have been established along the river and in the surrounding forests to safeguard critical habitats for endangered species. Initiatives to combat illegal logging and deforestation are helping to reduce the pressure on the river's ecosystems, while programs to promote sustainable agriculture and forestry are providing alternative livelihoods for local communities. There are also efforts to clean up the river and reduce pollution through better waste management practices and stricter regulations on industrial activities. For the people who live along the Kapuas River, the river is not just a natural resource but a source of identity and cultural heritage. The Dayak people, in particular, have a deep spiritual connection to the river and the forests that surround it. Their traditional beliefs and practices are rooted in the understanding that humans are part of a larger ecosystem and must live in harmony with nature. Many Dayak communities continue to practice traditional forms of agriculture, such as shifting cultivation, which are designed to minimize the impact on the land and allow the forest to regenerate. These sustainable practices have helped to maintain the ecological balance of the region for centuries. The Kapuas River has also played a central role in the history of the region. For centuries, the river has been a vital transportation route, connecting the interior of Borneo with the coast and facilitating trade between different communities. The river was an important part of the ancient trade networks that linked Borneo with other parts of Southeast Asia, as well as with China and India. Traders would travel up and down the river, exchanging goods such as gold, spices, and forest products for textiles, ceramics, and other valuable items. The river's strategic location made it a key battleground during periods of conflict, particularly during the colonial era when European powers sought to control the region's resources and trade routes. During the Dutch colonial period, the Kapuas River became a focal point for the administration and exploitation of West Kalimantan's natural resources. The Dutch established settlements and trading posts along the river, using it as a means to extract gold, rubber, and other valuable commodities from the interior. The colonial government also introduced new forms of agriculture and land use, which had a lasting impact on the region's environment and indigenous communities. The legacy of colonialism is still felt today, as many of the environmental and social challenges facing the Kapuas River are rooted in the land use changes and economic systems introduced during this period. In the modern era, the Kapuas River continues to play a central role in the economic development of West Kalimantan. The river is a major transportation artery, supporting the movement of goods and people between the interior and the coast. Many towns and cities have grown up along its banks, and the river is a crucial source of water for agriculture, industry, and domestic use. The fishing industry along the Kapuas River is also important, with local communities relying on the river's abundant fish populations for their livelihoods. However, the increasing pressures of population growth, industrialization, and climate change are raising questions about the long-term sustainability of the river's resources. The future of the Kapuas River is uncertain, as it faces a complex set of environmental, social, and economic challenges. Balancing the needs of development with the imperative to protect the river's ecosystems and cultural heritage will require innovative solutions and strong leadership. There is a growing recognition that the river's health is linked to the well-being of the people who depend on it, and that sustainable management of the river's resources is essential for the long-term prosperity of the region. Efforts to promote eco-friendly tourism, conservation, and sustainable agriculture offer hope for a future in which the Kapuas River can continue to support both human communities and the rich biodiversity of Borneo.